I think everyone here knows that Samuel Umtiti has become a really big meme, but everyone remembers he was an absolutely amazing player before his injuries and before the World Cup. But what happened to him and why did the World Cup ruin him? Today we're going to talk about that and more. Like and subscribe and I'll get to it. Now, I mean, you could say that Samuel Umtiti ruined his career to win the World Cup. I mean, you could say that because Samuel Umtiti, before the World Cup, he played 80 games for Barcelona. He was signed by Ernesto Valverde 2016. He was an absolutely amazing baller and an underrated talent. He was 23 years old when he was signed, an absolutely amazing ball-playing defender. But right before the World Cup, he got an injury. He got a knee injury, which absolutely put him out. And what he could do, he had two options. He could either take pain injections and try to win the World Cup with France, which Barcelona was strongly against, or he could actually take the surgery. It was quick surgery, it was an easy surgery, be out for 2 or 3 months, miss the World Cup, but come back to Barcelona. That's what Barcelona want, of course, because they paid 60 million for him. But he decided to take the pain injections, and he won the World Cup for it. But right when he came back to Barcelona, he got the same injury again, and he's been really struggling with this injury for time now. And yeah, you could say he ruined his whole career to win the World Cup, which I know you could say is a good trade-off. But also other things that happened was he started facing competition in his starting position with Araujo, Lenglet and Gerard Piqué, which over 2023 to 2018 have all been good competition for it. I know people will say Lenglet and people like that are not that good, but also he started making several critical errors, and positioning and decision making was so off when he came back. And yeah, he played 50 games for Barcelona after his injury, and before the injury he played 80 games in 2 years. It is a really big difference. But also, he was signed by Ernesto Valverde, which was a good Barcelona manager, but he played a very different style to Ronald Koeman, who came in afterwards, because Ernesto Valverde played a very defensive, pragmatic style of football, but Ronald Koeman played a more aggressive, attacking style, which didn't suit Umtiti at all, which is why it led to his many critical defenses. But also because Umtiti pissed off the Barcelona board when he didn't take the knee injury, and also when COVID hit, he didn't want to take the pay cut, and he was on big wages for someone who doesn't play. And when he did play, it led to critical errors. So he also pissed off the Barcelona fans, which is always not a good idea, because Barcelona faced a lot of financial difficulties during this time, which meant that Umtiti on £200,000 a week or dollars, I'm not sure, it's just not good for the fan morale, for his morale. Well, I mean, it is good for his morale because he's making that bank, but you get what I mean. Umtiti did not really ever get going afterwards. He still had the same knee injury, which he could have fixed because of the World Cup, but he just didn't do it, But Umtiti, his biggest factor was his knee injury, but he also started facing competition in his position when he came back. A change in Barcelona's playing style and the team dynamic, and pissing off the board and the fans contributed to his big demise. But who is it to actually blame for Umtiti's demise? Is it him? Is it Barcelona? I would say it's a mix. He was signed in 2016, 23 years old, star defender. He was the star defender for 2 years to play next to Gerard Piqué, but in 2018, when the knee injury happened, he got awarded with a 5-year contract on £200,000 a week, which, of course he's going to take that, but you could say it is part of Barcelona's fault as well to give him all of these big wages when he's still so young and still has a few years left on his contract. Could say Barcelona played a part, because that's what Umtiti's demise came to. You know, he couldn't play anymore. He could not get into the team, but they couldn't get rid of him, you know, which led to an Ursel situation at Arsenal, you know, and now Titi plays for Nice in Italy, and his whole Barcelona career was an absolute disgrace. Everyone hates him, even though he was good for 2 years, but this is what happens when big wages meets not good form. And whose fault is it? Comment down below who you think, like, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.